What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today I have got this guy to go over. This is the Ferrum Mordax. Now, you have seen on the channel the Ferrum ProTech Mordax drop. God, the name is freaking long. So, because the ProTech was made by ProTech, designed by Ferrum Forge, produced or sold by Drop, it was confusing. This one is a Ferrum Forge knife, okay? So made by Ferrum Forge, and of course it is different than the ProTech model because this is a titanium frame lock, and the ProTech is a button lock. One of the best button locks, also in my opinion. I own that, and I had it for a pretty good while, and actually compared it to other button locks. And it was one of my favorites. The Ferrum Forge Mordax, as far as the size, it's bigger than the Malibu, which the Malibu really impressed me as far as a button lock as well. And of course, many people have actually said that the Malibu was their knife of the year. And rightly so, because it's a damn good knife. Now the Mordax has actually been out for a lot longer than that. This is what, from what I read, people call the mid-tech. Now, we can get into a whole conversation about what is a mid-tech and what is not, but that's what they call it, so that's what I'm going to call it, right? They made them in quite a few different variations. This one is this really cool gray, like gunmetal gray. You have this kind of, I don't know, honeycomb pattern right there that's milled in. The pivot, really cool looking. It's very well done. It is a very well built knife. As you can see, there's your pocket clip. Not deep carry, which is another thing that's different from the ProTech. ProTech had a deep carry pocket clip. This one is not. I do like these pocket clips. It allows me to pull the knife out like I want. You know, sometimes I want deep carry, but most of the time I actually don't, and I'm weird like that. I actually like and prefer to be able to grab my knife like this. So, but with all that being said, very well done knife. Now, I already knew that the Mordax ergonomics were great because, like I said, the ProTech that I had, exact same form factor, exact same size. It does have this wonderful finger control, which you guys know that I love. And so, as far as comfort, this thing feels amazing in hand. This one, of course, different. Like I said, it's a titanium frame lock, and the steel on this is N690, Bowler N690, which is a great steel. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but just everything proportionally about this knife, I love. The thickness of the blade, you can see, like on the top of this, it's not crowned or anything, but it has both of those swedges on the top. So it leaves a pretty thin flat, but not too thin to where my thumb is back here and pushing down on the blade makes it uncomfortable. It just is a really beautiful blade. I've always really loved the Mordax in all of its forms. And this one was sent to me by my buddy Kyle, not Kyle Lamphere. This is another Kyle that I have said his name before. We've done some trading, some selling back and forth. He's, sent me some knives to review. So thank you, buddy. I will have his Instagram right here and also link down below. So yeah, all in all, this knife I dig. There is a couple of problems with it just for me. I don't think they're necessarily problems, but they're things that kind of, that makes me not want to carry it as much. And it's mainly the close action, okay? So you have your flipper tab here, which I like. It's not a minimal flipper tab or anything, but it's not huge either, right? And to flip this thing out, it flips out wonderful. And it flips out like almost any other flipper. I mean, it's not lazy at all. It is definitely more of my push button is where I like to do it. If you do the light switch, it works just fine. I just prefer to do the push button on this one, and it works great. Now, you've seen me, I'm closing it, and it comes down just fine. Here's my problem. This has the Hoback rolling detent, which I think is a genius invention by Jake Hoback. Basically, if you don't know, it is a little bit different than your regular detent ball, which stays put, and then the blade rides across it. This one is encaged with a rotating ball, a rolling ball that goes on the blade. So it does make for a very good, smooth action. This one's definitely not fall shut, but it is definitely a very, very smooth. And then, of course, the detent. God, I love that sound. So I like that about it. My problem was, and it was also on one of the Jake Hoback designs that I had, the Quebec, is whenever I disengage the bar and come down, and then, you know, there's where the flipper tab hits my finger. That detent, see how far that is? And it's still not broken the detent. So you have this double clutch, and it's very aggravating, actually, trying to close this knife. It moves there, but you have to physically move it past that detent and then let it drop. So it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. It's not a huge deal, but it's just the way I like to be able to close my knives. So if I, whack it like that, it does well, but it takes a little bit to get used to, and then that spot right there, I mean, because you can see, it's over pretty good, and still not past it. So once you get past it, though, it takes a little bit of force. See, that's a good bit of force there, and so that's why usually even shaking it past it won't work. It'll bounce back and lock up again. Not a huge deal. It's just something to be aware of, and something that I usually don't like because it messes with my fidgetability, But to each their own. It is a very good working knife, very comfortable. The finger choil, man, is done very well. I would say actually done well, a lot better than the ProTech. And the reason I say that is because the ProTech for me, it was big enough, but it almost seemed like it was poking me in some different spots. This one doesn't do that. So I like the ergonomics better on this one, even though they're pretty similar. The N690, big fan. I just don't have much experience with it. There you go. There's that Ferrum Forge. And then the coating on the blade and on this knife, I think is absolutely the one I would have gone with. I mean, holy moly. I love the way this color works. I think they did have a bronze one, which you guys know. I like the bronze titanium. That really gets me going. And then this one has a wicked mirror edge. Okay, so it looks amazing. But it cuts, okay? It cuts. It's about 25 thousandths behind the edge, which is relatively fine. Not the thinnest. But something about the blade geometry doesn't cut like I thought it was going to. And it was the same way with the ProTech. The ProTech was a good, harder use, I guess, kind of geometry. Not as slicey as I would like it to be. Let's just put it in some paper here. See how it, and this is a sharp blade. I have not done anything to it, but it slices. It doesn't bite in like, I don't know, because there's nothing wrong with the edge, I haven't done anything with it. As a matter of fact, I have barely carried it. I've only carried it really around the house. I think before I got the Woflo, I think I might have carried it one day at work, but didn't do any cuts with it. So yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. It's just not very slicey. Let's see what it does to some cardboard. It's just a lot of resistance there, right? It cuts. It's just a lot of resistance. See what it does to the paracord. Cuts. That's a pretty clean cut right there. I'm not even going to do the twisted sisal rope for two reasons. First, that's a pretty tough piece of material. Second, it's got a very good mirror edge on it, and I don't want to mess that up because it's not my knife, right? Now, granted, Kyle did say to do that. I'm just not going to. But I actually do think that it would be tough to get it through this. So let's go ahead and see. Well, I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about for the way that this thing disengages, because I want you to understand why that bothers me so much. So I have the Hinder XM18. This is the 3.5 inch, big old flipper tab, you know, blah, blah, blah. So when I disengage that and it comes and hits my fingernail, it's already past that detent. See if we can get a, so you see how far that is? I mean, it's pretty close, right? But I guess just the way the flipper tab is compared to this one, and this one's even bigger, once I disengage it and have it hit my finger, it already is past that. That's what I prefer. And it's I guess it's just gonna vary on your thumb size. I got big old thumbs and all that. So that double clutch most of the time when I go to drop this knife is really the only complaint that I have, other than that it doesn't slice as well as I would want to. But it's the nature of the beast and the design of the knife. I think that's what they were going for, a more robust edge, not the sliciest. Let's see, I can't remember what the thickness of the blade is, because it's a thicker boy. It's 173 thousandths thick, so that's considerable. And I can't remember what it was on the ProTech, but I don't think it was that thick. So yeah, you do have a hardened insert that's done very, very well. I want to show you the hardware on this guy. So there's a lot of hardware going on here. The hardware on the pocket clip, these 3 screws that just are huge, doesn't bother me because, you know, it doesn't really get in the way of anything. But these, it's like, I think they could have got away with just 2 screws instead of the 3 that's right there. But other than that, as far as fit and finish, rounded off, everything is done very, very well by Ferrum Forge. It's just amazing the amount of, you know, the milling that goes around there. Even the inside where the lock bar is, where they usually cut with like a wire EDM, that has been kind of rounded off. It's not sharp. So the way they put it together, I'm a fan. I love the roundness. It's very comfortable, no sharp edges. It's comfortable in almost every single grip. And so I love it. I love it. Just those few little quirks. Let's go ahead and put the camera behind here and just get some size comparisons and some specs because this is not a small knife. However, it's not an extra large knife. I think this, for me, I would categorize this as a full-size knife, and but some people might think it's a little bit large. So let's go ahead and get behind the camera and get a closer look and some specs. Boom. All right. Let's get a little bit closer here. You can see this wonderful color on these scales, man. And then it has this kind of a stone wash, almost like an orange peel kind of look on the scales. You know, flatter on the back, but it still has that kind of texture. I just really, really like it. The color on the scales and on the blade. Just a beautiful, beautiful knife. If I can get it to focus here. Oh yeah, I love it. You know, got a little bit of a flat here. The saber grind, you know, goes up maybe 65, 70%, you know, so it could definitely get thinner if that was higher. But I love the way it looks, and it was done on purpose, so I'm not going to fault it for that. But as you can see, it's a pretty good size knife. The overall length is about 8 1/4 with a blade length of about 3.625. The handle length is about 4.6. So with that overall length of 8 1/4, it is right in my wheelhouse. A full size knife that I think most people will consider that way. It is kind of heavy. Let's go ahead and get the weight on it. It does not have any internal milling, and so that definitely adds to the weight. But these are pretty thick slabs of titanium. So it's about 5.5 ounces. So 5.45, you know, close enough. So I know that's going to be a little heavy for a lot of you minimalists out there. But you guys know weight does not a consideration of me and my knives. That's just me. So a lot of people, it is. So that may be a factor for some, but you know, for these thick slabs of titanium and a big thick, you know, 177 thousandths thick blade, I don't think it's really that bad. Let's go ahead and put it up against some other ones. Here it is against the PM2. So the PM2 and the Mordax are pretty daggum close as far as size. Here you are for the Benchmades out there. This is the Super Freak. Also very similar in size. As far as the thickness of the Mordax versus the PM2, you've got a little bit thicker here on the as far as width for the Mordax versus the PM2, and then I believe, yeah, they're about the same. Maybe the Benchmade is a little bit thicker because the G10 kind of have a little bit of contouring there. This is flat, so but yeah, I mean, so like I said, a good size, right? I really enjoy the size, and I think that most people that buy this knife, you know, they're Ferrum Forge guys. I don't even know how much this thing cost, guys. I couldn't find it because they are discontinued. So the only place you're really going to be able to find this is on the secondary market. But I don't think there's a ton out there. You know, I could very well be wrong. People can let me know in the comments. I just don't see them very often. So that adds to the, you know, desirability of this knife, if that's a word. Desirability? That's probably not a word. But that probably adds to why people want this, is because I just don't see them very often. And this is the first one that I have seen, and Kyle was gracious enough to let me get it in hand and check it out for you guys. And I am very appreciative of him letting me do so. I think it's a great knife. I think that it is a great addition to anybody's collection, because I don't know if anybody is just going to go try to track one of these down for, you know, just using as an EDC knife. This piece right here definitely is for more of the collector, which Kyle is. He's a user too, but he has a wonderful collection. So guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and checking it out. Kyle, you are the man for letting me borrow it. Definitely stay safe, guys, in this crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.